Title: The Sicilian Disaster, Athens' Greatest Defeat. Introduction. Introduced the Sicilian expedition as an ambitious military campaign that sought to expand Athenian power to Sicily, specifically targeting the powerful city of Syracuse. Launched at the height of the Peloponnesian War, the expedition was intended to secure valuable resources and expand Athens' influence. State the thesis. While Athens envisioned the expedition as a bold step toward empire building, it became the city's greatest defeat. The disaster in Sicily marked a significant turning point in the Peloponnesian War, weakening Athens militarily, economically, and politically, ultimately accelerating its decline. Section 1. Origins and motivations behind the Sicilian expedition. Athenian ambition and the desire for expansion. Explain how the expedition was part of Athens' broader imperial ambitions. Athens was already a powerful force in the Aegean, but Sicily represented a new opportunity to expand its influence and secure resources, particularly grain, which was crucial for sustaining its population. Leaders like Alcibiades saw Sicily as a chance to boost Athenian morale and power, framing it as a strategic move to secure resources and spread Athenian influence in the Western Mediterranean. Many Athenians believed that conquering Sicily would open doors to further expansion in Italy and Carthage. Political divisions and influence of key leaders. Outline the political divisions in Athens over the expedition. While younger, ambitious leaders like Alcibiades championed the campaign, more cautious figures, like Nicias, warned against the risks of overextending Athenian resources in a distant and unfamiliar territory. The persuasive rhetoric of Alcibiades ultimately swayed the assembly, reflecting the dangers of Athenian democracy when influenced by powerful orators. This decision revealed the weaknesses within Athenian political processes, where charismatic leaders could push the state into overly ambitious ventures. Section 2. The execution of the expedition and initial failures. The departure and high hopes. Describe the immense scale of the Athenian force, one of the largest they had ever assembled, consisting of more than 100 ships and thousands of troops. The initial enthusiasm and hope for a quick and decisive victory reflected Athens' confidence in its naval and military power. Athens underestimated the challenges of fighting so far from home. The lack of sufficient knowledge about Sicily's terrain and the political landscape hindered the Athenians from the outset, as they encountered resistance from the allied cities of Syracuse. Strategic and tactical missteps. Outline the strategic missteps that marked the early phases of the campaign. The recall of Alcibiades after his involvement in a scandal left the Athenian forces without a clear leader, while Nicias' cautious approach led to delays and missed opportunities, undermining Athenian momentum. The Athenians failed to secure decisive victories and struggled to establish a foothold near Syracuse. This indecision allowed Syracuse to fortify its defenses and receive aid from Sparta, which sent the skilled General Gylippus to organize and lead the Syracusan resistance. Section 3. The defeat and catastrophic consequences for Athens. The decisive battle and the retreat. The final stages of the expedition saw disastrous battles as the Athenians, exhausted and low on supplies, attempted a retreat. The Syracusan forces, supported by Sparta, effectively trapped the Athenians in the harbor, cutting off their escape by sea. The Athenian navy, once their primary strength, was defeated in a series of crushing naval battles. The failed attempt to break out led to desperation, and the remaining forces attempted a harrowing retreat by land, only to be pursued, captured, or killed. The failure to achieve their objectives and the subsequent retreat marked a complete collapse of Athenian forces. Human and material losses. The losses suffered by Athens in Sicily were catastrophic. Nearly the entire fleet, along with tens of thousands of soldiers, was either killed or captured. The survivors faced brutal treatment in Syracusan quarries, where many were left to die of starvation and exposure. The material losses were equally devastating. Athens lost a significant portion of its navy and an immense amount of resources, leaving the city vulnerable. The financial toll of the campaign was profound, as the loss of ships and manpower severely depleted Athens' ability to defend itself and maintain its empire. Section 4. The impact on Athens and the course of the Peloponnesian War. Weakening of Athenian military and naval power. The defeat in Sicily marked a turning point, as Athens was no longer able to dominate the Aegean. With its navy nearly decimated, Athens struggled to protect its allies and assert control over the Delian League. The loss of its fleet limited Athens' ability to collect tribute and maintain the empire. Sparta, seeing Athens' vulnerability, capitalized on the defeat by renewing hostilities and forming alliances with Persia, which provided funding for a new Spartan fleet. This shift in power emboldened Sparta and other Greek city-states to resist Athenian dominance, dramatically altering the balance of power in the Greek world. Political turmoil and decline in morale. The disaster in Sicily led to political instability in Athens, as public confidence in the assembly and its leaders declined. The immense losses stirred resentment and blame within the city, fueling divisions between democratic and oligarchic factions. In the years following the defeat, Athens experienced internal upheaval, including brief oligarchic takeovers. The Sicilian disaster also shattered Athenian morale. The ideals of Athenian democracy and empire building, once sources of pride, were now questioned as citizens grappled with the consequences of a costly, failed venture. The defeat marked the beginning of a prolonged decline, with Athens struggling to recover its former strength and prestige. Section 5. Legacy of the Sicilian disaster and lessons for future generations. A lesson in overreach and the dangers of hubris. The Sicilian expedition is often cited as a cautionary tale of overreach and the dangers of hubris in statecraft. Athens' ambitions had blinded it to the practical challenges of waging war in distant territories, reflecting a belief in its invincibility that proved unfounded. The expedition highlighted the risks of expansionist policies driven by rhetoric rather than careful planning. For future generations, the Sicilian disaster became a symbol of how unchecked ambition and poor leadership can lead to catastrophic failure, even for the most powerful of states. Impact on historical thought and the legacy in Thucydides' work. The historian Thucydides documented the Sicilian expedition in his History of the Peloponnesian War, offering a critical examination of the motivations, missteps, and consequences of the campaign. Thucydides' account emphasizes the role of human error, pride, and ambition, framing the disaster as a product of flawed decision-making rather than mere misfortune. Thucydides' analysis of the expedition has influenced historical thought for centuries, underscoring the importance of realism, strategic foresight, and the perils of hubris in both military and political decision-making. His work provides valuable insights into the human factors behind war and remains a foundational text in the study of strategy and leadership. Conclusion. Introduction. The Sicilian expedition was a monumental and ambitious campaign that aimed to extend Athenian power into the western Mediterranean by conquering Syracuse, a powerful city-state in Sicily. Athens, already a major power in the Aegean, saw an opportunity to expand its empire and secure strategic resources. However, the campaign ended in catastrophe, becoming a significant turning point in the Peloponnesian War. This essay explores how Athens' ambition turned into overreach and examines the long-term effects of the Sicilian disaster on Athenian power, morale, and political stability. Section 1. Origins and motivations behind the Sicilian expedition. Athenian ambition and the desire for expansion. Athens had grown prosperous and powerful through its leadership of the Delian League, transforming it into an empire that extended over much of the Aegean. The idea of expanding to Sicily was rooted in the desire to control vital grain supplies, build alliances, and establish a powerful western outpost that could rival Carthage and strengthen Athens' position against Sparta. The allure of Sicily's wealth and resources made the campaign attractive, particularly as Athens faced increasing pressure to secure resources amidst the ongoing Peloponnesian War. Sicily represented both a practical goal in terms of resources and a symbolic one, as controlling it would reinforce Athenian dominance and prestige. However, Athens underestimated the challenges of waging war in a distant territory, and this overconfidence set the stage for its greatest defeat. Political divisions and influence of key leaders. The expedition's approval by the Athenian assembly reflected the persuasive power of leaders like Alcibiades, who argued that Sicily was ripe for conquest and presented the campaign as a way to secure Athenian influence in the West. However, not all were in favor. Nicias, a respected and cautious general, argued vehemently against the